Good afternoon, students, and welcome to today's lecture on how to be an archaeologist. I'm your professor, Dr. Rob Steffen, and today we are going to learn to identify Greek and Roman building techniques like a pro. So imagine this. You're exploring an ancient site, and somebody's like, "Oh man, those walls are pretty old." You raise an eyebrow and reply, "Well, actually, that's Cyclopean masonry, meaning that this wall dates all the way back to the Bronze Age. Late second millennium, I presume." Instantly, you've unlocked the next level of archaeology coolness. The way the Greeks and Romans built their walls and structures can tell us who built them, when they were built, and how advanced they were. So let's break it down so you can spot the clues like a true expert. We begin with Cyclopean masonry, the Bronze Age megaliths. If you see massive, irregularly shaped stones stacked without mortar, congratulations, you're looking at Cyclopean masonry. This is one of the oldest Greek construction techniques, dating all the way back to the 2nd millennium BC. The Mycenaeans used this for their fortifications, and legend has it that only the Cyclopes, that's the plural of Cyclops, were strong enough to move these massive stones. Hence the name. These walls are kind of so solid that they survived thousands of years of earthquakes and battles and invasions, and they still stand today, all without any mortar holding them together. So if the wall looks like a giant just threw together a bunch of huge boulders, you, my friend, have got a Cyclopean wall on your hands. Next up, we've got ashlar masonry, when the Greeks got a little bit fancy. So we're going to fast forward now to the classical period, the 5th and 4th centuries BC, the 400s and 300s. And this is when Greek builders started cutting stones into neat, rectangular blocks. That's known as ashlar masonry. So unlike Cyclopean walls, these stones were perfectly shaped. Like Cyclopean walls, they fit together so precisely they didn't even need mortar. So if you're in Athens or Delphi and you see these kind of clean-cut, tightly stacked stone blocks, you're probably looking at ashlar masonry, a sign that the Greeks had seriously leveled up their engineering game. All right, next up, we've got the Greek wall trio of isodomic, pseudo-isodomic, and polygonal masonry. Greek builders experimented with different ways to stack their stones. So if you see a wall made of perfectly equal rectangular blocks in even rows, right, like we saw with the ashlar masonry, that's also known as isodomic masonry. Everything in perfect rows, a hallmark of precision and high craftsmanship. But if the rows are kind of mostly even, but some stones are a little bit bigger going above the line, some descending a little bit below, that's what we call pseudo-isodomic masonry. A kind of mix of order and flexibility. Then finally, if the wall looks like a jigsaw puzzle of irregularly shaped blocks, that is known as polygonal masonry, a technique favored at places like Delphi. So if the wall looks structured and refined, it's isodomic. Slightly varied, that's pseudo-isodomic. And an ancient puzzle, you've got a polygonal wall on your hands. Alright, and now we're on to the Roman Revolution. Brick, concrete, and vaults. The Romans took Greek stonework and said, let's make this easier. Let's make it stronger, and let's make it way, way bigger. Enter brick and concrete. Roman builders used a revolutionary material, opus caementicum, Roman concrete, which allowed them to create massive structures like the Colosseum and aqueducts and basilicas. They also perfected the arch and the dome, engineering marvels that would let them build larger and more complex buildings than ever before. So if you see brick mixed with concrete, grand arches, or domes, you're very likely in the Roman era. Alright, so let's conclude with our cheat sheet on how to identify ancient walls and buildings. Now that you know the basics, here's your quick reference guide for dating construction styles. Cyclopean masonry? That dates to the 2nd millennium BC, from around 1600 to 1100 BC, and that's characterized by giant, irregular boulders, Bronze Age fortifications at their finest. Think about sites like Mycenae. Ashlar masonry dates to the classical period, the 5th and 4th centuries BC. These are perfectly cut rectangular stones, classical Greek elegance at its finest. Then we've got Roman concrete and brick, and this tends to be from around the 1st century BC onwards. So if you've got brick, mortar, arches, and domes, you are looking at the engineering marvels of the Roman Empire. And that's it. Next time you see an ancient ruin, you won't just see some old walls. You'll read the architecture like a pro. Now go forth and identify ancient buildings like a boss.